A YouTuber named Jonathan Russo is renovating a room in his home when he discovers something out of place. He taps on a bottom portion of the wall and it sounds hollow, so he cuts away a hole.
And I find a hidden room underneath the house.
The space is lined with old bricks and carries an ominous and foreboding atmosphere. Jonathan feels very out of place and doesn't stay for long.
It's pretty creepy.
The room itself appears to have no structural purpose and seems to be walled off for no reason. This, combined with Jonathan's reluctance to go any further, raises some questions. I wonder what happened in there, if anything, that would cause a previous owner to seal it away. YouTuber Nick Soderegger, also known as Sunspec, ran his channel for years, with it gaining some attention in 2014 for his dance videos. Sadly, in September 2018, he disappeared after hearing a woman screaming at 2:30 in the morning outside his residence. If that wasn't strange enough, since that day, he has never been seen again, and the mystery surrounding what happens remains unsolved. His family has set up a website which will be linked in the description, with a $10,000 reward for information leading to his whereabouts. When Reactor 4 burst at Chernobyl in 1986, a 10-kilometer exclusion zone was formed and thereafter was increased to 30 kilometers. The initial steam blast resulted in 2 passed away, while a further 28 passed within months of exposure. These numbers do not even touch upon the total passing toll caused by radiation, and they also don't touch upon the mutations in humans or animals in the area, which brings us to this footage published in March of 2014. The uploader states that the video is filmed at Chernobyl power plant. A close-up of an animal in the area appears to show a headless form on 4 legs running across the railroad tracks. It almost looks like a headless deer. Some in the comments say that it looks like a large deer with the face of a rabbit, or a moose with a twisted neck, and still others say the creature appears as though its neck is deformed and bending towards the opposite side. Mutant or not, kinda makes you wonder what other nightmare creatures are lurking in the area. Years ago, I analyzed a video of a giant humanoid creature seen roaming the desert in Portugal. Well, new evidence of the creature is making fresh rounds on the internet, and this photograph supposedly shows what it eats, which unfortunately is us. A strong-looking man with a crew cut and fatigues is no match against this creature, as it pulls him towards its open maw. He is not wearing civilian clothing. If anything, his outfit matches those worn at the Special Ops base where the original video was taken. All of the finer details of the creature seem to match as well. The dramatic bend of the back leg compared to the more developed upper arms, its cone-like head, its unnatural slouch are all there, and according to this picture, it's apparently a Cyclops creature as well. Of course, there's a good chance that this is photoshopped. If it was real, I think that there would be an accompanying video, or at least more than one picture. If anything, for the sake of the person about to be devoured, I really hope this isn't real. A doll that speaks is not mysterious, but a doll that speaks when it has no batteries certainly is. That's apparently exactly what this doll can do. If someone could please tell me what brand of doll this is, and also translate what is being said here, then maybe we can help solve this mystery. They examine the doll for a hidden battery compartment, and ultimately find nothing. Strange things have been happening in this guy's house, which he says seem demonic. Published by Cayman Poe in May of 2011, he and his friends are up at 1 in the morning, waiting to see if anything unusual happens. After a time, they hear something from outside the room. They go downstairs to check it out but find nothing.
Hello?
But after heading back to their room, they hear another sound, this one louder than the last. They return downstairs and notice that the bathroom door is now closed, When they tell the demon to show himself or reveal that he's there, he does. They race back upstairs while considering calling the cops, but when they hear the demon again,
hello? I hear it again.
they are lured downstairs. The door is open. This time, the demon doesn't wait for them.
To the left.
Published to YouTube in December of 2019, Brandon Gross writes, "My friend Danielle took me into one of the craziest caves I've ever seen. I'm very bad with tight spaces and decided to face my fears. Would he live to regret it?" The footage follows the pair squeezing into a tight slot. Holding onto a rope, they descend into what can only be a claustrophobic nightmare. As the underground cave gets tighter and more suffocating by the minute, the cave widens and narrows, but at one point, Brandon notes that the space into which he intends to squeeze is only as wide as the length of his foot. Slithering through the caves, they finally reach the bottom cavern. When they start to continue exploring the claustrophobic corners, Brandon experiences a brief panic attack but continues on. Seeing his friend Danielle wriggle ahead as she navigates further restrictive spaces would make anyone squirm, and squirm Brandon does, but he manages to make his way back to the light. When at last Brandon squeezes his way out of the hole, he celebrates being free from that claustrophobic nightmare. With a name like Forest of the Black Cross, this place is bound to experience some shady supernatural happenings. Captured and published to YouTube in July of 2021, the crew are filming at night in the dark and haunted forest, and what they encounter does appear to be supernatural. Something is disturbing the forest, and as they zero in on it, they spot the dreaded figure amongst the thick brush. The scary footage captures the face of a wild beast with glowing orange eyes, sharp features, and a gray tone. It looks unlike any other forest creature, and unlike any human figure at that. The crew rightly freaks out, and as a deep growl rumbles through the forest, they flee as fast as their legs will carry them. As they race away, howling is heard into the night. Were they really faster than this werewolf, or did the wolf simply find other more alluring prey? These two unidentified flying object sightings are eerily similar. Posted on Reddit by GamersGen, these two sightings from Miami and Beijing are comparative. The first appeared in Beijing on February 3rd, 1995. The unidentified flying object hovers as an illuminated yellow disc in the evening sky. After a while, it starts to glide slowly overhead. GamersGen posts a second video in the comments, one which looks similar to the first but was captured on October 20th, 1995. This unidentified flying object was spotted along a freeway. The driver pulled over to capture it hovering near an apartment complex and then over Miami Airport. GamersGen suggests that today, unidentified flying objects aren't seen as often for a reason. His theory? They have become more cautious, and further said, they seem to be extremely aware of us observing them, and above all, they don't want to be compromised. What do you think? It makes sense to me, and these two sightings are certainly quite similar. When you're in the middle of the woods, alone and defenseless, the last thing you want to hear is this. This horrifying sound, according to its uploader, is a cougar mating call, but what it sounds like is a woman shrieking for her life in fear or inexplicable horror, coupled with the moaning horn-like sound of an unknown creature. If you hadn't been told this was a cougar, how would you feel hearing this in the middle of the woods? I mean, maybe it's just more horrifying knowing that it is a cougar, as it might just go for your face. Redditor Eli uses Reddit shares his opinion saying, hearing this without thinking it's a cougar would honestly make me blank myself, with many in the thread agreeing with that summatation. Others liken the sound to a woman having her life taken, while some think it sounds like a zombie breakout or a banshee. Further in the thread, however, Redditor The Lil Hedgehog claims that this sound is not in fact a cougar, but rather really is the sound of a woman shrieking from some police body cam footage, which has been dubbed into the video. Does anyone familiar with animal sounds know what a cougar shriek actually sounds like? Whether or not it's a cougar, I'd have to agree that if I heard this noise in the forest, I would surely panic. A YouTuber named Dan Loganiffy shot this Disneyland footage almost 10 years ago, and it still remains a paranormal point of contention even today. Dan's filming the end of a typical Disney fireworks show when he sees something strange and zooms in. A gray specter appears to be admiring the show from atop his perch on the Walt Disney Castle. It watches the final barrage of fireworks for a bit longer and then silently disappears from sight. Some people think that this was just a fireworks technician wearing dark clothing, while others are convinced that this is a phantom and possibly even the ghost of Walt Disney himself. I'm not sure what it was, but I do agree that the timing is very eerie. I mean, the ghost or whatever it was does happen to show up right before the final high note and then disappears shortly afterwards, so that's definitely odd. Let me know what you think it was, and if you think the timing was just a coincidence. Orkun Isitmak is a popular YouTuber from Turkey who goes exploring on all kinds of adventures. He's one of the few people willing to take a trip to the abandoned city of Chernobyl, a place where few dare to go after a nuclear power plant meltdown in the 80s left the area covered in radiation. He brings with him a Geiger meter used to measure levels of radiation, and a couple of scary moments are caught on camera. In this spot, the meter reaches about 50 units. That doesn't sound that bad, but then I realized an X-ray only takes seconds, whereas he's probably been standing here for hours. Big difference. And when he starts to go down here,
Radyasyonun kalbine giden kapı burası. Evet. Artmaya başladı. Yok buraya asla gidemeyiz.
the Geiger meter warns him not to. This tunnel is the heart of radiation, he says, and wisely turns around. The glare is covering the screen, so I don't know how many units the meter reached, but if it was in the hundreds, then permanent damage might have already been done in that instant. Later, as he's exploring a research facility lined with jars of old specimens, he finds a room with nothing but cribs, a room that no doubt has the scariest and most mysterious backstory of all. What was this facility working on, and why would they need to keep so many kids down here? The Malaysian district of Sabak Bernam recently had an odd occurrence take over the entire village in November of 2020. That's when residents began to hear this sound. Phantom knocking at odd hours day and night. It's kind of hard to see through the glass, but let me put it to you this way. If I can tell there is a white car parked out front, then I definitely should be able to see the outline of whoever is pounding hard enough to rattle this door, and yet nothing's there. This video and others like it remain unexplained. If a whole village were faking this, then surely at least one person would have accidentally confessed by now. Months later, nobody has. Based on this paranormal evidence, I'd say something actually appears to be haunting this village. You don't want this guy popping up in your next selfie. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, Princess Lena 87 explains that there was no one else in the room when this video was recorded, except apparently this insane red face who popped up behind them. The clip shows two friends recording a selfie video, laughing and having fun. As the video pans right, nothing is behind them, but when it pans left again, a slimy red figure appears over their shoulders. Lena shares the screenshot in the comments. While some think it's Snape, others suggest something not from a Harry Potter book, and rather an entity that is quite nefarious. Redditor Analytical Amy writes, "It may just be some freakish weirdness, but was there ever a fire close by or in that house over the years?" Later saying that it looks like someone who was in the home during something like this. Whether you think this is the case or not, one piece of advice: don't turn around. I believe this video is 100% real, and that only makes it all the more scarier. Houses can make funny house noises, but that doesn't seem to be the case with this video. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Ramasaurez, the Redditor explains that he woke up to loud footsteps in the hallway and the sound of something in the attic being dragged. He says the attic is not used for storage, but has a small crawl space. He was home alone when this happened. In the clip, you can faintly hear footsteps pounding and then the dragging noise as Ramasaurez lies still and silent. In the comments, Redditor Dejness suggests to go check it out, noting that people have had issues with squatters in the past. Even though the chances are slim, there's a definite possibility. As Dejness advises, look for any sign of someone's been living there, missing food, stuff misplaced, food wrappers, and if you do end up believing someone is in your house, maybe try installing a security camera. Some Redditors add that having something to protect themselves with nearby would be smart. Others advise to just record the sound and call the authorities instead of investigating himself, as who knows what the stranger would do. In another vein, some think it would be animals making nests up there, but the Redditor says the attic was completely sealed. The potential for the paranormal is on other Redditors' radar, including the OPs. He states that a couple of his family members had paranormal experiences inside the home, although he doesn't elaborate on what those experiences were. Then again, maybe it's just someone who had no other place to go. Whatever is keeping this family awake is worse than a nightmare. Published by Amma Media Channel in April of 2022, a woman is sleeping on a couch when strange things start to happen around her. A tricycle slowly wheels itself backward, then it launches forward, taking a wide turn. It's so loud. What's most surprising is that the woman doesn't wake up. Next, one side of the couch that she's sleeping on is lifted completely off the ground, now lying at a 45-degree angle. The woman only wakes up when the couch slams back down on the floor. It still takes her a moment to rise, even when the couch is lifted a second time. She then climbs off and runs away. The woman returns to the room with a male resident, explaining what happened. They don't arrive at any conclusion as to the cause, but the man lays down on the couch to rest. Not long after, a mysterious head appears close to the security camera. Later, as the man struggles to sleep, a creepy figure appears in the window. The faceless figure is wearing black gloves and seems to be trying to get in. The sleeping man spasms uncontrollably, but it's unclear what is going on. Is the creep in the window casting a spell of some kind? The figure disappears and then the couch starts to lift again, as it did with the woman who was sleeping there. The man falls off the couch, wakes up, and fires off. He returns with a sword, but who will he battle? There's no one there. As he looks outside for his opponent, the faceless figure in the window greets him. What is this thing? As I said, it's worse than a nightmare. This is not your average hanger-on. While hanging in this creepy forest, note in the first video, this is a 5-man crew. And yet, in the second video, a 6th person is lurking in the background, and he's acting very creepy. What is that dude doing back there? Is he part of the group, or do they even realize that he's there? Even if he is a member of the crew, I'd say they should keep an eye on him. His behavior seems a little bizarre to say the least. State-run buses that run through Hamashal Road Transport Corporation, or HRTC, are known to have some of the most treacherous bus routes in the world. Unpaved, muddy, and wet roads are just the beginning. There's also the landscape, mountainous and threatening. Here's just one of those routes, captured on camera. On the route Manali to Kannur, the ride is slow going as the roads are wobbly trenches in the mud. In this video, you see a train of buses precariously rocking back and forth as they meander alongside tall piles of snow, rugged mountains towering in the background. The large buses don't look so much like they're driving. Rather, they look like they're hopping. The cravats in the muddy road are assumingly frozen over, resulting in a jackhammer of a ride. And while the cliff edge on the right-hand side of the buses don't appear to be a clear drop-off, it's safe to say that one small overcorrection in the mud could potentially send a bus rolling down the mountain. I'm going to play it safe and steer clear of those routes. Costa Rica is full of many beautiful sights. Under your pillow is not one of them.
Scorpion on my pillow.
Is it alive?
I'd say it's very much still alive. A gigantic stinger is curled high above at the ready. I don't know if he was sleeping under this terrifying creature all night, but I think he might have been. If so, he's really lucky he never fluffed the pillow. Seriously though, I really want to know what kind of scorpion this is, and how risky this event really was. As the name of his YouTube channel would suggest, Abroad in Japan provides helpful advice meant for anyone planning an extended stay in the country of Japan. Chris has lived there for over 7 years, and most of his videos deal with common topics, such as cultural differences and spending tips. 2 videos in particular, however, chronicle his experiences with Japan's supernatural. October 16th, 2018 is when Chris bikes with his friend Joey in search of an eerily abandoned tunnel that's rumored to be haunted. They don't know much about its history, but one look at how narrow it is, and it's hard to imagine a car squeezing through. The tunnel was apparently abandoned after too many lives were ended by unsafe driving. Now it lies on the side of the mountain, becoming more overgrown with each day. The first thing they notice is this strange human-like imprint on the wall, perhaps the spirit of someone who lost their life here. It's looking up towards the sky, and pale skin. Even the flowing sleeves of her dress are visible. It creeps them out and makes them want to get this over with so they can leave. As they are contemplating what all of this means, their camera records even more evidence that something is nearby. It's a soft voice whispering something in Japanese. Tell me if you can understand. I think it's real because the voice echoes off the tunnel walls. The exit is only a short distance away, so there's no big dramatic dash to safety or anything like that. They are suitably freaked out by now, and when they go to leave, this mysterious third person, shadow figure to be precise, is waiting for them at the end. Oh, and there's one other odd discovery in the haunted tunnel that I forgot to mention. Don't even want to know what this mysterious device was used for. It looks like it goes around a wrist or on an ankle and doesn't come off. So as strange as this paranormal encounter was, it was only scary enough to teach Chris his lesson for a year or two. February 16th, 2020 is when Chris stayed in Japan's most haunted hotel, a place known only as the Ryaku Fuso Inn. This is where the spirit of a young boy has been roaming the wealthiest people in Japan for over 600 years. That's a long time to be a troublesome little ghost. And by now he's gotten pretty good at his job, so what Chris sees that night should come as no surprise. This is where the spirit of a young boy has been haunting the wealthiest people in Japan for over 600 years. That's a long time to be a troublesome little ghost, and by now he's gotten pretty good at his job. So what Chris sees that night should come as no surprise. He and his friend wait until after hours to visit the memorial, where the boy is said to frequent, a shrine built in his name to keep him from becoming evil and cursed. I think I see the outline of a boy looking at them in the blue window above as one of them kneels down at the altar. And they must have done something wrong because this happens.
It's a bit creepy, isn't it?
Not only does a child scream, but a face appears over his shoulder shortly afterwards. They go back to their hotel room afterwards and don't think much of it, but the next day, Chris's friend reports an encounter that really troubles him. It seems as if they could have been followed after all.
Like, I couldn't move my body, and I heard someone, like, kind of standing on my chest, and then and he or she, whoever, touched my cheek.
I'm not sure if this last part is a paranormal encounter or sleep paralysis, a condition in which people are unable to move and often think they see a shadow figure moving towards them. Is this streamer signaling to followers that she needs help? Her followers think so. Shared by Krusty Krab, TikToker Ellie here 01 posted this live stream by user 101010101075. Although there is no context, she looks slightly distressed in the video. But what viewers are really focusing on is the hand signal she appears to flash.
Power here. So, just to clarify, no more screen recording videos or...
Did you see that? Watch closely. Many in the live chat observed the woman's signal, as you can see in the comments running across the stream.
So, just delete it all, it's all fine. Everything's okay. You said to go live, so I've gone live. I've gone live, everything's fine, just saying. So...
The young woman looks disturbed, and when one person types, "Say yes if you aren't okay," she responds,
yeah.
If anyone has further information on this video, please share it in the comments. This mystery is nothing short of terrifying. A paranormal investigator from India named Deepti Vlog and her ghost hunting crew go exploring what, in their words, is one of the most haunted places in all of Madhya Pradesh. It's a long trek through some scary woods just to get there, and they are also quite sure some creepy things will be caught on camera before the night is through.
Oh,
In the distance, they see a figure walking slowly off the beaten path, and then it just sort of mysteriously disappears into the darkness. All of them run much faster than the figure was moving, but when they get to where they had just had the ghost sighting, they find an empty clearing and nothing more. A fire to warm the darkness isn't always a good thing. Posted on TikTok by official GPT and Instagram by GPT official, this clip was captured during the Ghost Panic team's live stream. The footage shows a man shouting into the wilderness. At first, you don't know what's going on as he spins around, but after a time, you see a figure perched in a nearby tree. The figure blends in with its surroundings until it lowers its arms. Then you can distinctly see its face, hair, and body as it remains perched on its limb. As the man talks to it, the figure stands up, then inexplicably a fire is lit at its feet. The cameraman quickly flees the scene. It's unclear what the figure was and how the fire was lit, but by the cameraman's panicked reaction, I have an idea that this figure was nothing less than evil. These Russian nightclub partiers look normal enough, but check out what happens to some of their eyes during a power outage.
Guys, check it out. Look at that.
Almost everyone else's eyes are not visible except for a select few. Even if these were contact lenses or something like that, there's absolutely no light to reflect. Until you can give me a scientific explanation as to why someone's eyes would glow in the dark with the lights out, I would have to say this video is definitely not normal, to say the least. Caitlin Raquel is alone in her room when this shadow passes through her room without passing over her. Her hands are not covered by the shadow, even though it walks directly in front of her. Most people think of houses, hospitals, or jails when they think about ghost sightings, but some of the most unsuspecting of places can turn out to be the most haunted. This footage was taken in a popular food joint during broad daylight. A shadowy ghost suddenly materializes in a Subway restaurant. It starts out in the shape of a human and almost appears to be getting a table. When it gets back to its seat, the black shadow suddenly changes into a floating black blob of an orb. At this point, an employee or maybe a customer appears to see the ghost in the doorway. Whoever they are, they look stunned for a second and then quickly back away. The shadow orb pays no attention to the human as it floats up to the window and lingers there. It's almost as if it's taking a look at the outside world. The ghost starts to rise even higher and shrinks until it fully disappears back to wherever it came from. A YouTuber named Chris Starr takes an electrometer to an antique store with Omar Gosh to check for signs of the paranormal. They find this creepy old marionette without a nose that seems responsive and eager to communicate.
Please let us know by touching my K2 meter. We really want to know if you have a story or not. Oh God.
So they buy it and run some experiments in the car, where a special spirit box is waiting to help translate. First of all, the marionette seems to react positively to being untangled and held properly. When they ask for its name, a female voice struggles with an answer that a male voice soon finishes. Then they hear some other creepy whispers that I can't understand, but I'm hoping maybe you will.
Can you tell me your name?
I'm not sure what to think, but the fact that this puppet responds to two different pieces of paranormal equipment makes me think that this has a greater chance of being real than not. If it is possessed by a spirit, then it could also be cursed, in which making this video could carry dire consequences. A scary video of paranormal investigation shows what kind of creepy stuff can happen when exploring abandoned places goes wrong. Dan of a paranormal investigation channel called Paranormal Encounters UK explores a haunted hotel that is a hotbed of paranormal activity. He explores the lobby and goes upstairs. Past a rope, he finds two empty glasses at the counter. Kind of like somebody was preparing to take their own life. Dan calls out to no one in particular and captures a ghost on camera that could be a bug.
Hello?
Next, he explores a room with lots of mysterious lights. The longer he stays, the more light seems to appear. He talks about how before becoming a haunted hotel, this place used to be a girls' school. So maybe there's a little ghost girl watching from the hallway. Nothing else happens until 18 minutes later when he explores a different room. This is the part of the paranormal investigation where he addresses anyone nearby directly.
If there's any spirits, if there's any ghosts, anything in this room right now that wants to make contact with me,
Only when he looks through the camera does he realize spooky ghost orbs have been following him all along.
what reflection? Oh my, that's all coming towards me then.
Ghost orbs which fly into him repeatedly. If you believe in the paranormal, then you will probably see this as spirits attaching themselves to a living host. In other words, a possession. If you are a skeptic, then to you this is not a ghost sighting, merely dust. This bike rider is about to get ghosted. Published by Scary Desk in February of 2022, a man on a motorbike stops in the middle of the road and he's looking down the street at something. A pedestrian also stops nearby and he seems to be looking at the same thing, which so far is off screen. After the pedestrian leaves, we see this. A shadow figure walks determinedly at the dude on the motorbike. As he gets closer, he disappears for a moment, but the man deliberately pushes his bike over as if to make a blockade between them and then runs off. The shadow figure suddenly reappears, and he surprisingly runs off too in the opposite direction. What is going on with this confrontation? It looks like the shadow was as afraid of the encounter as these guys were. This video is all the more reason not to work from home. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, Big Bo One Jord explains that a friend sent him this clip after he kept hearing things in the middle of the night. He started taking video to catch some evidence of the noise's source. In the video, the friend walks out into the hallway from his bedroom. As he nears his office, something very clearly moves out of view, but it's not clear what that something is. A Redditor who goes by the username Captain Fatbelly recommends viewers to turn up the brightness on the video. He writes, "It definitely looks like a person. I worry about the chance there might actually be somebody lurking around in your friend's house." Other Redditors agree that it looks like a person, while Scary Ninja Gamer says, "Your friend is screwed." We'd have to agree. Damon and Sean are walking around outside when they come across a huge open sewer pipe in the middle of nowhere. They don't think much of it until something weird starts to happen.
I think there's like somebody down there. What the Dude, it's creeping me out.
Sean goes to the other side of the pipe to see if he can determine the source of the banging. Soon, he comes back and says that he couldn't see anything on the other end.
Yeah, but usually there's like two at a time. See, did you hear that?
If there is any technical reason for a sewer pipe to be banging in sets of two like that, then I'd like for someone to please explain. Otherwise, there's no way to tell who or what was making all that racket down there. It's a full moon and a YouTuber who goes by the name of Al Capone is in the most hectic cemetery I have ever seen. He can't even explain what he's been through without getting interrupted.
Okay, things moving behind tombstones while I was driving.
Then listen to this at 4 minutes and 52 seconds.
No, behind me.
Oh, you heard it behind you. I heard it.
No, I heard what was by you, but I'm saying by the cars. Like,
Al is talking when another man's voice speaks at the same time. What they hear a minute and a half later leaves their mouths hanging open. I mean, this could be neighbors from some of the nearby houses, except there's really no reason for anybody to be shouting near the cemetery in the middle of the night. Plus, the direction these voices are coming from is deeper in the cemetery, away from the houses and closer to the woods. And since this video was made in the middle of January 2020, I doubt anyone was out there camping. A Redditor named SwiftFool41 starts freaking everyone out when he started posting his porch cam videos on the advice subreddit. He had a bad feeling about a random late night visitor and wanted to know what others thought he should do. The stranger gets out and knocks on the door after waiting for over 2 minutes in their car. He rings the doorbell and says something about a minute later, but he's looking down so it's hard to hear. The uploader of this video really wants to know what he says. Then he says something about being on the porch to someone on the phone, maybe just a friend, or perhaps an accomplice.
I'm on the porch right now.
Reddit dismisses this as strange but not alarming. Maybe it was just somebody with a wrong address or something. But then 5 days later, another porch cam video has them freaking out. 3 more cars pull up late at night and no one gets out for a really long time, over 17 minutes to be precise. What they do, it's a different stranger than before, and what he does next is odd. He knocks on the door and immediately counts a fat wad of cash. What is he expecting to buy out here, and why roll 3 deep to get it? The uploader doesn't answer the door, and Reddit has been freaking out ever since. This was over 2 years ago and the mystery has yet to be solved, or even updated for that matter, so who knows what the outcome was. A mysterious creature sighted in the woods of Makanda, Illinois, has residents wondering if this video is real or fake. It looks fairly convincing upon first glance, but some parts are questionable, like how this looks more like a boot than a foot when it steps out at 22 seconds. At 23 seconds, it raises its back leg up high like a person would. I think if its legs were really that big, then its footsteps would be much heavier and closer to the ground, but maybe I'm wrong. What secrets does this witch's cemetery hold? Dennis of YouTube channel Dark Ghost Paranormal is about to find out. He first comes across this disturbing shelter guarded by cow skulls.
А вот это интересно, что такое?
He hears something nearby. He says voices are heard here.
Вот. С этой штуки, вот с этой постройки, доносятся какие-то голоса.
He sees a face in the structure.
Камера вижу, а так смотрю, нету ничего. Будто бы чье-то лицо. Вот, 2 глаза.
To me, this does look like a face, but it seems to be pareidolia. But later, he hears this through a paranormal device. Then he finds this unnerving collection of butterflies.
Открыл, я просто, я не знаю, у меня дар речи пропал. Что самое странное, откуда здесь?
His paranormal device again relays this strange sound while in the body's presence.
О, блин, мне даже страшно двигаться. Я хочу отсюда убежать.
And again, this scary whistling noise is heard. The noise grows even more terrifying. I don't think Dennis should stay here any longer. The butterflies would have sent me over the edge, but that last sound is even more unnerving. Fari hunters kneel over the remains of a wild lion, each too busy posing to notice another member of the pride has been following them this whole time.
That's it. Ah, God, pump him. That's it.
Are you gonna work on this?
As they fiddle with the camera equipment, the silent surviving lion sizes them up without a sound. It waits until they are too close to run and then pounces. Their tour guide lays on his horn to warn them, but it's far too late.
Okay, good stuff.
I'm not sure if this video is real because the lion doesn't make a sound even after it's been spotted. If this is a real video, then it's more like their final moments rather than a close call. A family outing is interrupted when an unknown object floats towards them, barely noticeable at first if not for its shimmering color and odd movements just beneath the surface. As they curiously approach, they can see it's not an object floating underwater, but rather an unidentified creature, an unknown worm-like blob that makes one of them turn away in fear. This is his real reaction caught on camera. Tell me what language this is and what's being said so we know where this video was taken from. At 37 seconds, a brave family member tries to grab it with their bare hands, and back underwater the creature goes. They claim to have a second video which, as of this time, has yet to be uploaded. According to them, the bottom of the creature has a face with one dark eye. Hopefully they upload part 2 of this creature sighting soon, so we can all see it. It looks real so far, but I will reserve my final analysis until then. Imagine running into this creature in a dark rainforest at night.
Gak usah turun dari situ saja. Bisa sampean turun. Sayanya soalnya yang takut.
YouTuber Only Menopore Collection Sap posted this creepy video in July of 2019. Adorned in white with pale skin and black hair, this forest dweller is the thing of horror movies. One of the brave men approaches it, his hand upheld in full view in an attempt to pacify the figure. As he closes in on her, the figure just stands, its head wagging side to side slightly. Then suddenly it sinks to the ground, vanishing from view. Later in the video, they come across some other forest being, this one dressed in white. Again, the man approaches it as it stands in place, then it too vanishes from view. What are these ghouls of the forest? Are they good or evil? And what is their motive? These are questions better left unanswered.
What did you say? Can you say that again? Right into the side of my thing? I heard you.
A TikToker named Deadbeat TV is investigating a haunted farmhouse for traces of the paranormal when he gets an answer to his question in the form of a passing shadow.
What did you say? Can you say that again?
He is standing completely still, and yet something moves fast across the floor. The shadow is perfectly contained within this room and does not touch either side of the doorway at all. It doesn't come from behind. Something ran across this room, a low-moving shadow with no body attached, and shortly after, this second ghostly shadow reaches out. This seems like something paranormal to me. When requesting that a spirit manifest itself, you'd better be ready. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by On Behalf of the Gesture. This is what happens when you provoke a ghost. After inviting a ghost in a giant empty warehouse to manifest itself, the Redditor asks the spirit not to scare him too badly. The ghost only heard the first half, appearing in the form of smoke or dust or vapor of some kind. It shocks the Redditor so much that he quickly backs up and turns to leave. He's lucky he did. Who knows what was waiting for him in the darkness? I have really no explanation for this one other than the paranormal, so that's what I'm going with. ILMN Bono Paranormal goes exploring an abandoned factory that has become a haunted place, full of many ghost sightings ever since an accident cost several workers their lives 60 years ago. Soon they discover firsthand exactly how paranormal this place truly is.
Tady taková, nic a tady... Ne.
12 days later, he returns for more.
Můžeš mi dát nějaké znamení, že tu jsi? The big hole is there and... No way. Some, no! Wait.
He says he's done, but he doesn't mean it. Everyone keeps begging for him to go back, and so 6 days later he returns for his final paranormal exploration at the haunted abandoned factory.
You heard it. There is something.
When you go back and look again, it does look like a shadow figure is caught on tape.
Oh my god! Did you see that? Of course, it's not here anymore. No, if you saw that, but it was standing right here.
Standing just around the corner is a patch of darkness that is brighter than the rest. Was it a ghost sighting or somebody standing around the corner? Based on the other paranormal activity he's caught on camera, I think we all know the answer to this real ghost sighting. It's a YouTuber named the Ghost Metalhead 666 is filming an empty room in the castle of King Henry VIII when suddenly a visitor materializes before his very eyes. Look in the bottom left corner to see it. The YouTuber captures the translucent outline of a small child. You can see how the toddler starts out on the floor and unsteadily climbs to its feet. The head, arms, and legs are unmistakably human-like. If someone is any good with video editing, then let me know if this is fake or the real thing. Otherwise, as more than one person pointed out in the comments section, Henry VIII did have many stillborns during his reign as king, and this perhaps could be one of them. A YouTuber named AG is playing with her phone on the floor when her CCTV system records a bizarre and possibly paranormal display behind her. The strangely shaped phantom consists of little more than 2 arms and a head. The face is simply a single eye in the middle, almost like it's looking at her from the side. The video itself looks a little pixelated, so I guess this could be special effects, or maybe even the brief reflection of something against the wall, though of what I cannot say. Stranger still is how, out of everywhere else in the room, it appears directly behind her, almost like it's self-aware in choosing to do so. It's 3 a.m. and something is terrifying YouTuber Mo Sargi at this haunted cabin in the woods. Let's see what it is. Mo seems to be sensing a spirit around them.
Is it weird that my left ear is ringing like crazy right now?
Well, they say that's a sign of spirit around you.
Then they see a light in a nearby building. It shouldn't be on.
There you go, you can see that the light in the mill is on right now. That should be off. Holy there's something causing it to stay on.
A moment later, this happens.
Oh! I just seen it! Dude! I got it on camera, did you? Yeah.
It's motion activated, so something must be inside. They arrive at this creepy haunted cabin, isolated in the middle of the woods.
Oh, look, there it is.
Oh, nice.
Is that it? Yeah, that's it.
I believe so.
Whoa, it's even creepier at nighttime.
As soon as they're near it, they get a reading on their K2.
Whoa. That's a lot. Yeah. Okay, we got something here. Let's go inside and check this out.
Once inside, they discover something horrifying.
So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the shack itself isn't what's haunted. I'm thinking someone who ever nailed the roof in here, or the wood, did some type of black magic. Like put a type of nail in here.
Is Mo's theory correct? Is this a dark magic shack? From the outside looking in, it appears so.
It's not here now. Oh wait, it's back? Yeah, right. No, on the other side. Jesus. Yeah, there's big bugs out there. There's so many. It's gone now. Now it's mapping out Angelo.
When the team asks the spirit if it's there, it responds via REM pod.
Sean, is that you?
I'm feeling very fatigued all of a sudden. That went to green.
It's amazing how this is responding to the comments you guys are making.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were like, John, is that you? And it, again.
Sean is here. I do believe the team is being followed by something, but is it Sean? It could be anyone. Is there a ghost at this military base? Posted to the paranormal subreddit by Multi-Frapser. This creepy sound clip was captured in a base for the Finnish Defense Forces. The Redditor explains that the video was cut out of the clip for security reasons, but that it was recorded near a public road at around 10:30 p.m. in January of 2020. Though it's short, he said the sound continued for 45 minutes until 11:15 p.m. The Redditor writes, "During the time I captured this clip, I'd kept watch at one of the checkpoints that led to the military base or garrison." He explains that the noise started to get quieter little by little until it vanished. Another military personnel had heard the same noises the night before around midnight. He also describes the base's surroundings. There is a town about 1.5 kilometers away that turns into a veritable ghost town around this time. There are also a central fire station and rural industries nearby, as well as a railroad track, but only one rail line is scheduled to pass there at a specific time and doesn't make this noise. On the opposite side of the base is a small bay, with only motor and sailboats that don't usually operate at this time of day or year. Across from the base is a water tower made of concrete, which is where he thinks the noise may be coming from, though he had never heard this sound before. He describes the surroundings that night as not windy. There are many different theories in the comments as to the source of this noise, with some suggesting it could be the mysterious sky trumpets that have been captured all over the world. Others suggest coronal mass ejections in the ionosphere, which have to do with the aurora borealis. It could also be singing ice, which is a sound effect that happens when frozen soil or rock cracks after water seeps in and freezes. Some also think the rhythmic oscillation sounds mechanical or like breathing, but Redditor Paul JS75 believes that the Redditor might be on the right track with the water tower theory writing. Keep in mind, when draining or filling the thing, there also has to be a way for air to get in or out. A lot of air rushing through a passage is going to make noise. What do you think this is? Do you have any other theories? I think no matter what the cause is, this would be terrifying to hear outside at night while being alone. There's nothing like Russian dashcam videos. They're usually next level crazy. This video clip is no different. A red Volkswagen is seen cutting off the driver with the dashcam and another car in front of him. So when they reach a red light, the driver decides to rev his engine and pass the Volkswagen. Big mistake. After they pass him, the Volkswagen speeds up again to pull around the driver and cuts him off, blocking his way forward. Then a man dressed in black gets out of his vehicle to confront the dashcam driver. After a very brief exchange of pleasantries, the Volkswagen owner opens the trunk of his vehicle and reaches for a golf club.
Писец вообще какой-то неадекватный, только не уходи.
Apparently, the faintest confrontation in Russia on the road can lead to brutal results, of your vehicle at least. Things have been known to quickly escalate on the Russian roads. When a drone drifted over the residential area in Overland Park, 2 boys on bikes spotted it overhead, and that's when they jumped off their bikes to have a go at it. You can see one of the kids pick up something, which is presumably a rock, in order to ready aim and fire at the drone, but it's much too high to actually knock it down. The kids follow it for a while, but don't come close enough to truly threaten it, although they do make a valiant effort to do so, chucking a rock or two its way. Eventually they give up, but the drone doesn't. It continues to follow them for a good 8 minutes, with the boys getting fed up enough every now and then to stop and throw more rocks. Certainly a scary encounter for both parties involved. Randy Doss claims to live in a haunted house and offers this video evidence for proof.
I dare you to slam that door.
They start recording this video after the door opens all by itself, at which point they try to get the spirit to do something else, and with that said, the ghost seemingly takes up the challenge. Watch the crack in the door and you'll see there's absolutely nobody on the other side.
No.
Just for the record, it's only Nick and I here.
Just when the door almost slams shut, this happens.
Oh my god, no! Oh my god!
Whoa.
The obvious answer is that there is a child standing on the other side of the door, but look again. There appears to be nothing more than an empty sleeve, and more importantly, it doesn't make contact with the door at all. This makes me think that whatever forced the door open could have also rustled the nearby jacket too.
Blake Smith's Gaming Blitz has a haunted basement which I analyzed a while ago. Now the ghost has moved upstairs and other family members are starting to take notice. Some people claim to see a face peering between the blinds, but I think it's a reflection.
Can you see that? Please say you see that.
See what? It move?
But forget about the window. Tell me what's going on with her backpack. It looks normal at 7 minutes and 3 seconds. Then she looks up, coughs, and suddenly it looks like a face. A face that only becomes clearer and rounder, more defined over the next 15 seconds.
Look at your bag. Do you see the face on your bag in the mirror? Do you see it?
I had that on video, Nene! I got it on video!
A final rustling noise somewhere in the room freaks them both out and makes me wonder if they really are being watched by a little ghost girl who's all too near.
The world's oceans hold both wonders and terrors. People got a glimpse of an example of such mysteries on November 11th, 2007, 7,800 feet down the Gulf of Mexico. The Perdido oil drilling site sent a camera down for a routine inspection when it caught something unexpected. A bizarre creature swam only a few feet away from the rig, sporting unfathomable features. By far the most eye-catching of them were its long tentacles reaching far down below its body. It almost appears to be looking right at the camera, staring and observing just as being observed. Many commenters have likened it to an alien, with some even joking it is an offspring of Cthulhu. The truth is, thankfully, more simple and far less scary. What was actually filmed is known as a big fin squid, a relatively newly discovered species. It was first documented in September 1988 off the coast of Brazil. Due to the depth at which it lives, sightings are rare, and there is still much about it left to be discovered. In fact, it is still unknown how these animals feed, but it is believed they use their long tentacles to drag against the seafloor to catch organisms to feed off. It is also believed they wait for small plankton to bump into them to eat. Such creatures make stories of sea monsters from folklore make much more sense. For centuries, the idea of the giant squid was a myth until it was proven as a real species, with larger, colossal squid also discovered. With an estimated 80% of the ocean left unexplored, there's bound to be thousands or millions more discoveries of all sorts of odd yet magnificent species out there. Solo Ambush goes to a haunted shack that's been abandoned in the jungle. The place is haunted by two evil shamans, conjoined twins connected at the hip. Solo Ambush is ready to live up to his reputation and confront them both on live stream. He finds odd evidence in the pages of an old book that could be paranormal incantations of some kind. Tell me what he says here and anything you can about what's written in the book.
So ini adalah salah satu ibaratnya. Okay, yang berbahasa Siam. Aku akan bawa balik buku ini ya.
I'm especially interested in what this page says. It has a picture of the world on it and a list. He stares at this page for the longest of all. For some reason, he lights 5 candles in the attic and says something to the shaman.
Okay, sila keluar. Aku cabar segala jin, kadam, pesuruh, dukun.
Maybe it has to do with what he just read. Whatever he recites, it works. Notice how the shadows start moving when the noise begins, and how they stop moving when the noise ends. Final analysis. These scary moments caught on livestream video are paranormal and creepy beyond belief. It's like the ghost is walking right up and standing over him. It looks like Solo Ambush is the one getting ambushed this time. Would you be able to sleep after seeing this? Posted to the Paranormal Evidence subreddit by cardiologist Wary 306, this short clip was captured at 2:30 in the morning. The mysterious footage shows a semi-transparent figure walking from one wall of the room into what appears to be a bookcase, where it disappears. The figure looks obscure at first but grows in visibility before completing its vanishing act. The Redditor says that around 3 a.m. they often hear a conversation between a woman and a man in the bathroom. They've seen shadow people in the home, things being thrown across the room, lights have shut off, whispers in the ear. All in all, a heavy atmosphere. The activity is too much to bear. And here's yet more of it. Many in the comments believe it's a spirit manifesting. Do you believe that's the case? Jamie West is on vacation, and earlier that day, she and her friends had a brief conversation with some random boys at their hotel. It's late at night when they get a knock on their door and find the same group waiting for them outside. Now Jamie and her friends are nervously watching from the other side of the door, trying to decide what to do. It kind of seems like it could be some innocent back and forth flirting until one of the strangers gets even bolder. They record Jamie and her friends through the crack in the door, encouraging them to come outside in hushed tones all the while. Jamie goes deeper into the hotel room and doesn't answer the door. Let me know if you would have done the same thing, or if you would have taken the chance and opened the door for them. Everyone wants to feel safe and alone in their own home. What happens when you find out you're not? Posted to YouTube in June of 2019, the YouTuber writes, "Man finds creature in ceiling crawl space that apparently laughs at him." The man in the video explains that he's not a believer in the supernatural. He's a skeptic, but sitting alone on the couch in his home that day, he started hearing a noise coming from the roof or the ceiling. He said he could hear it in the light in his living room, so he decided to investigate. In a closet in his home, there's a small hole, big enough to stick a camera through, but it doesn't look quite large enough for a normal-sized human to squeeze through. When he does get his camera up there, you can see your normal everyday attic crawl space, but over in the corner, in the darkness, are two large orbs, a pair of eyes. He sticks the camera back up there, and the eyes appear for a second again before blinking closed as he asks the creature what it is, expecting a response from what looks to be an animal. A child or a toy's doll laughter rings through the darkness. Is Chucky in this man's attic, or does that raccoon simply have a very strange cold?
Squirrel? Raccoon? Oh, it closed its eyes. Oh my god!
One thing's for sure, you don't want to hear that laughter coming from anywhere in your home. A YouTuber named CGA is with her family at a Disney theme park when they decide to turn around and take a quick group video. This split-second decision is all it takes for something bad to happen.
Ay, Mafi, creo que me pasé.
One member of the family is standing way too close to the parade float, and the camera catches everything that happens next. It looks like the girl simply loses her balance, but what you can't see is a large wheel going over both her feet. According to the description of this video, the family was forced to pay for medical expenses out of pocket, even though they say that no barrier was in place to prevent this from happening. They also claim that the employees kept walking by as if nothing happened, but we'll never know for sure because the video ends shortly after the incident occurs. If you thought food tutorials were never scary, think again. This video, posted by YouTuber Post Content, entitled Food Tutorial, was published in August of 2019. Don't let the title fool you. You won't be learning how to bake a cake with this one. The video starts in what appears to be an abandoned home. A flashlight shines against the cinder block wall, while the man filming asks, "Do you hear that?"
Do you hear that?
The camera pans to the floor, where a box cutter lies on the ground. There are some rumbling noises and then a loud sound, after which a regular rumbling is heard, like a cell phone ringing on vibrate. The man walks down some wooden stairs onto a lower floor of the house. The vibrating sound continues.
Okay, calm down. They're in the box.
The man tells himself to calm down and says they're in the box. What's in the box or who? The viewer is left to guess. Somehow you want to know and you don't want to know at the same time. He heads towards a far room, saying if there's anything else, he'll put them in the box as well.
If there's anyone else, I'll put them in the box as well.
Things just got creepier. He wanders around this abandoned home talking to himself and exits through a doorway, which leads outside to a forested area. He wanders through the heavy shrubbery, looking for ghosts, mumbling in a whisper.
Around in the bushes trying to find a strange noise.
He then comes across a rope. He follows the rope, then it falls dark. As his flashlight returns, you can see something red on the ground, but it's hard to tell what it is. He walks further, filming the ground. Still, it's unclear what exactly he's looking for. It appears he's arrived at a shed or barn with a vehicle and some farm equipment inside. There lies a bale of hay. Leaning against the bale is a sign that simply reads, "Hungry?" Atop the hay bale appears to be a head of cauliflower. The man puts down the camera, and you see a shadow lift the cauliflower to eat. He says eating it will keep them away, then is followed by a strange monologue including a foreign language which, as some have said in the comments section, is Danish.
Men jeg er så træt. Jeg kan ikke huske en tid før jeg var i det her hus.
If this is a tutorial about anything, it's about not eating a random head of cabbage sitting atop a hay bale at night. You might lose a tooth, but the question remains, what's in the box? This video was taken at a famous car race in France called the Citroën Rally. A police officer is keeping the peace when he makes the mistake of not looking both ways before crossing the road. His carelessness nearly gets him annihilated when one of the contestants comes rushing around the bend. The officer puts his arms out at the last second, but this would have done absolutely nothing to save him. That papery smacking sound you hear is the back of his vest actually making contact with the car. Amazingly, the police officer brushes off the event like it's no big deal, and the crowd barely has a reaction either. Maybe they've grown accustomed to close calls. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.